Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we will talk about the electronic part of the construction of my wheel. For this section, for this part, I will make two videos because there's way too much stuff to make it fit in only one video. So I started by disassembling the original T300RS wheel, but unfortunately I didn't record this part. And now I am disassembling the paddle shift control and the electronic board inside. I cut the paddle of the original wheel and also cut the bottom of the plastic casing, which was a mistake because originally I wanted to put two sets of paddle shift on the wheel, but I changed my mind on the way. But it was too late, the casing was already cut. Now that the paddles are cut, I will reinstall them in the casing and prepare the electronic board for the connection with the wiring, which will go to the new switches. Another mistake that I made is to choose a wiring very too small for the job. There was a nightmare trying to solder those to the connectors without breaking anything. Like you will see in the video, since the wiring was so thin, I decided to seal them with hot glue as soon as I was making one solder so nothing will break when I was moving around. Another reason why I struggled that much when I was soldering everything is that I found out halfway done that the solder wire that I was using was not good, but the job was almost done before I found out about that. The wiring was so thin and so sensitive, I did have to redo some solder 2 or 3 times before it worked properly. Use the proper wiring from the start, I would have saved a lot of trouble and a lot of time. But the mistake was done, so I had to deal with it at the time. I was testing every solder with a multimeter before sealing the soldering point with hot glue, so I don't have to remove the glue and redo the soldering in case of a faulty connection. Decided to run only 2 ground wires to the wheel, so it saves some space between the electronic boards and the wheel, and spread the ground from a button to another afterward. With 2 ground, I had a spare one in case one of the wires broke in the process or something, but everything went fine, so I had 2 solid ground to wire the wheel, buttons, the wheel to my PC and test fuck any further. Since the Thrustmaster wheels are working on PC, I connect it to my PC and test each button so I make sure everything was working properly. It is now time to wire the red button on both handles and to wire the up and down switches on the left and the right and left switches on the right. Another mistake that I've done is to not install the wire in their place before pouring the rubber on the handle mold. So now I had to drill and fish the wires, which was a nightmare. I did not have enough space to use rotary switches as for the up and down buttons and for the left and right buttons. I used 12 by 12 millimeter tactile switch with a rocker button that I've made myself. So I saved some space and the buttons is acting as the same way as a rotary switch. So instead of spinning on themselves like a rotary switch will do, my button is just rocking from a tactile switch to another. The rotating movement stops when the button gets in contact with one of the tactile switches. Now that the wires are in their place and my switches are assembled, it is now time to connect everything together. The up and down and the left and right buttons and the red buttons in the handles. Soldering small connectors like that is a work of precision, and of course it will have been easier if I had a steady hand, so I'm sure if anyone to that will have less trouble than I have to connect those little wires. It was a slow process because again, every time I was connecting a switch, I was testing everything, so I was make sure everything was working fine before going on with the project. As you can see, I did a lot of carving in the main frame of the wheel, and I learned in that process that it will be much easier to just take some 1/4 of inch of MDF board and laminate some layers one over the other. So instead of carving everything, I will have just to cut one layer, laminate it on the main layers, on the main frame, if I can say like that. So the process will have been way much easier. Now that the up and down and the left and right switches are connected to their proper wires, it is now time to glue them in place. and install the rocker buttons over them. It is now time to connect the red button switches to their wires and put them in their hole. This is it for now. In the next video, we will see the wiring of the buttons on the faceplate. In the meantime, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so you will be aware as soon as I will release the next video. I wish everybody a happy new year.